Hi, my name is Brett Elliott, and you're watching APMEX Answers. In this video, we're going to talk about why eagles have become so expensive, whether we see that changing in 2023, and we're going to showcase an alternative you may want to consider for your stack. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into it. Why have eagles become so gosh darn expensive? For those of you who have not been following along, eagles are easily over $10 an ounce right now, per on just the premium alone, right? And that's really expensive. They've never been this high before. It's historically high, and that's great if you've been building a stack for some time. It's not so great if you're trying to add on to your investments in 2022 and 2023. And the question is, is this going to continue? And the long and short of it is that it's probably going to continue. Now, let me explain.
Now, the U.S. Mint does not produce their own blanks for the Silver American Eagle program. Now, they used to. They had a whole production operation going, but some years ago they mothballed it. It was fine during times of high demand, but expensive during times of low demand. And low demand for silver can sometimes stretch from months into years. So, those of you with a business background can probably guess what happened next. They outsourced the production and made the overhead somebody else's problem. This is actually a pretty good solution. It worked well for years. But of course, 2020 happened and threw everyone's game off, including the US Mint. Demand for silver skyrocketed. Other mints with more flexible arrangements adjusted over time, but the US Mint has fixed long-term contracts and only one qualified supplier. This means the mint cannot get enough silver blanks to meet demand. Now, what happens to a commodity when supply drops and demand goes up? The price gets higher than a kite. So why doesn't the mint bring on more suppliers? Good question. Well, they have some strict quality control standards that other mints just might not have. It does limit who they can bring on and how quickly they can do so. And it also might be a bit difficult for some suppliers to meet the US Mint standards, in which case those suppliers might consider other options. So if demand for silver remains high, the market for blanks is going to stay very competitive, and some suppliers might opt for the easy money, selling those blanks wherever they can get the most profit for the least effort. I think this is a little short-sighted. Building a long-term relationship with the mint would bring stability to any company, but there needs to be vision and will in a company to form a long-term, strategic relationship like that, and we haven't heard of any new suppliers planning to join the fold. So we're not sensing a change in the winds of fortune anytime soon.
Unless something changes, of course. There's probably people working on this, but as of right now, as of this moment, we are expecting to see less silver eagles produced in 2023 than what we had in 2022. Well, if you expect demand to be fairly high in 2023, which we do, we're kind of looking at it, and we're not really seeing demand as easing for precious metals going into the new year, where we've got elevated recession risk. So constrained supply is expected to continue. Demand is expected to be high. We expect the prices are going to stay high. Could be wrong, but that's what the numbers are telling us today, folks. So, fellas, let's take a look at an alternative coin that has great American history, a much lower premium, and widespread availability. And of course, I'm talking about the silver buffalo round, 1 ounce silver buffalo rounds. These are beautiful rounds, and I absolutely love these things. I actually got really excited over Black Friday because APMEX actually had a deal where you get a tube of 20 at spot. And I tried to grab it, but I wasn't fast enough. Lost out. Bought a bunch of rounds anyway because, again, I just love these things. And they're just incredible. You've got on one side an American Indian chieftain, and on the other side you have a great bison. And this is based on the 1913 Buffalo Head nickel designed by James Earl Fraser. Now, there's a little bit of kind of interesting history there, and this isn't really, a video about the history of the 1913 Buffalo nickel, but what I will say is that there is a little bit of very fascinating history. And what's interesting is, and the reason why I keep slipping up and calling it a coin, is that while the silver round is a round, the gold buffalo coin is a coin. And that's produced by the US Mint. And that actually produces some really interesting, very slight design variations. So, private mints primarily are the ones out there producing the silver buffalo round.
Now I've got mine from APMEX, and you can see the one I'm holding is produced by Nine Fine Mint. You can see how it compares to a buffalo nickel, and it just looks fantastic. It's very close to the original design, but if you go onto retailer websites all around the net, including ours, and you look in the descriptions for these buffalo rounds, there is a little disclaimer on most websites. It says, design may vary slightly. So I got curious and pulled it up and discovered the silver buffalo round is slightly different from the 1913 buffalo nickel. And I think it's just because it's a round, it's not a coin. But all of the designs are very similar. There are lots of mints producing this, so some might deviate just a little more than the others. The biggest differences between the rounds that I have and the buffalo nickel are some very fine details that are almost unnoticeable, such as the angle of the horns.
But just expect that if you do start going out and stacking these rounds, you might order some from one place and some from another place. You might go to your local coin shop. Wherever you acquire your silver from, you may get some with slight variances in the design. But they're very, very popular. And that's one of the things that these rounds have have in common with the Silver Eagles is that they are widespread availability. And that's really important. If you are building up a stack someday, you may want to sell it to fund something else, maybe real estate, maybe another investment opportunity. Maybe you're going to die with your silver and bury it in your grave with you. That's up to you, man. It's your silver. But most of us probably want to have the option to turn this into fiat money at some point. And what I'm saying is that the Buffalo, it's very easy to do because it's so widely available and so popular. So it's also very similar in terms of purity. I mean, it's the same in terms of purity. They're both 999 fine silver. They're both 1 troy ounce. And they're both round. And they both have this really cool, patriotic sort of Americana theme or motif to it. And if that's important to you, I think you'll like the Buffalo round. Biggest difference is, there's no face value to the silver Buffalo. That's more important, I think, if you're buying internationally and you have certain tax rules or tax incentives to buy a coin. In that case, maybe take a look at something else like Maples, Krugerrands, Philharmonics. There's other options for you out there where you can get a lower price, a lower premium, and still take advantage of the benefits that a coin would bring. The only other thing that I could really point out to someone is that if you're someone who's been, say, collecting silver eagles, graded silver eagles, right, you're not going to have that same sort of option on the Buffaloes. I saw an odd thing. I saw a 4.9s fine Buffalo. And I just had to stop and scratch my head for a minute because I thought, who's buying a 4.9s fine Buffalo? And what are they doing with it? I think if you were to start stacking Buffaloes and you bought a 4.9s fine and you went to go take it into a coin shop, you said, yeah, this one's 4.9s. This isn't a 3.9. I'm not sure if that coin shop would give you an extra premium or not. It might be interesting to actually call up some coin shops. Comment down in the comments if you want me to do that and record it and see what they say. But my guess is that you're not going to really have graded silver round Buffaloes as an option available if you haven't seen them anywhere. And I don't think the 4.9s Buffalo is really going to compare the same way that a graded eagle would. So that might be something that's important to you. And if you really just want to collect those types of coins where you do have graded options, I think you're going to want to look at some of the stuff produced by some of the sovereign mints, maybe the Royal Canadian Mint, um, and maybe the you might look at some Britannias, you might look at some maples. Okay, well, I think that just about sums it up. If you're interested in seeing another comparison to other coins, again, please drop us comments down below. I'd love to know which ones you want to see. We're excited to do more of these. If you enjoyed this video and you found it useful, hit the like button, share with a friend. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.